welcome to another tip of the week. Today we're going to talk about your 3 different voices. Each one of us has 3 different voices. Whether you're a guy or you're a girl, you have a low voice, your chest voice, you have your middle voice that's really easy to sing in, and then you have your high voice, which we've talked a lot about, that takes a little bit more effort to get up there. I've taught a lot of students who have a difficult time getting to those upper ranges and those lower ranges because they're they're afraid of them. They're afraid of the feeling of not having the power that they naturally have in their middle voice. So, for instance, if I'm singing in my middle voice, I can get a whole lot of power. That's my middle voice. Now when I move down to my chest voice, it's a little harder to get the same amount of resonance and power. In some of our other videos, we've talked about how to get more power in your upper voice and how to get that resonance and focus in your lower voice. So today we're going to just kind of put those together. We're going to do a few different exercises to help you to feel more comfortable in those outer ranges, in the lower and the higher. Guys, even though you do have a higher range, we don't call that our head voice as we do for girls. So if I refer to a head voice, that would be the equivalent of your falsetto voice. So the sort of deal would be your falsetto. So we're going to start off, let's talk about getting into our lower range. Now, I will warn you that when you start off, if you're not used to using the lower part of your voice and the upper part of your voice, they might be very shaky, or they just might not have the power at all that your middle voice has. So if you find yourself singing along on the radio, then you're probably using that middle voice to get that powerful sound like you've heard so much before from professionals and that sort of thing. So what we want to do is we want to just get comfortable with that low and that high voice. So what we're going to do is let's start in our middle voice, and for me it starts about here. Okay, so we start and we're going to go down to our lower voice, and you'll notice that there is a break between our middle voice and our low voice, and you'll hear it when we get there, and we'll talk about that. So let's just go down on ah. Now I don't know if you could hear that, but I can hear it very clearly. There's a break between where my middle voice goes and then those last 2 notes where it went into my chest voice. So get used to that, going into that middle voice, into that lower voice, and don't be afraid of that cracking sort of sound that's there. We'll learn how later on to what we call bridge the gap between our middle voice and our low voice, but for now, we just want to get comfortable with using that lower voice. So let's keep going from there. One was all in my chest voice. Your break might be in a different place than mine is, and it's very likely that it is. So wherever your break was, make a note of that. Where you felt your voice, almost your throat, just sort of shifting, that's where your chest voice is. Don't be afraid of that feeling. I have a lot of students who I teach that are very afraid of having that shifting feeling and it getting it has a very different sound than your normal middle voice. So when you go down like that, just get used to that feeling of being comfortable, and it doesn't matter if it's a bad sound right now. Just get used to it. A good way to work on that lower voice is to use the words me. It sort of matches the voice a little bit easier. And so put a good N, as in new, put a good N on the beginning of an E sound, and as you go down, you'll notice that it's much more resonant when you get down there, and it matches the voice a little bit more completely. If we're going up, up is a good thing to do when you're going up into those upper registers that you're not comfortable with, is to keep your mouth open, your jaw dropped, and just feel very relaxed. So you'll take that nice deep breath that we've talked about that comes from all around here, and as we go up, we'll just drop our jaw a little bit and try to feel comfortable. And when you go up, sometimes it helps to raise your eyebrows, stand on your tiptoes, and think low. So sometimes if you kind of go down like this as you're going up, it'll help. So I'll try all those things as we're going. So let's do an ah sound, just like we did before, except this time we'll go up. Ah, ah, ah. Now as I'm getting higher up, I'm getting into my upper voice. Ah. So you can tell I'm standing on my toes. So that helps me, and also I'm raising my eyebrows the entire time. So let's try the dip down and see if that helps you. So when you get to the upper note, you can just go down. Okay, so those are just a few things. Get used to using those different parts of your voice, the upper and the lower, and don't be afraid of that sound that comes out. All right, well, that's been our tip of the week. I hope those exercises are helpful and that you'll try them and see what happens.